Hello, I'm Carl Albrecht, and today we're going to discuss the basics of being a drummer. We're going to cover things like how to set up the drums to fit you. To make the kit fit you is very important, because as you learn to play, the way you move around the drums has a lot to do with how you sound and how comfortable your sound is when you're playing. It'll make you feel relaxed as you play the grooves and fills that you'll be working on. And this is a problem for anybody. People that have been playing a long time sometimes feel uncomfortable because they haven't taken the time to think of how something fits the length of their arms and their legs. And it's important to realize too that this will be different from drummer to drummer. You don't have to feel like just because somebody else's drum seems to work for them that it should work for you. So be sure to take the time to work that out when you're beginning to play, and even over the years as things change. If you're very young, definitely how you adjust heights and angles can be different. As you get taller and change over the years, feel free to just keep readjusting that. The next thing we'll cover is tuning the drums, how to get a great sound. I'm always asked this, and we'll go over some general procedure things and just how to get that studio sound that you often hear in a drum set on recordings. And here again, realize it is a individual thing. A lot of drummers like the drums to do different things. And I think it's the exciting thing about the instrument that you can make it a personal thing. It's not like guitar or piano that are tuned in a definite range or to a definite pitch, although we'll talk about some of that. But drums can have a wide range of color and tonality. And the one thing I want you to remember from this is that you should feel free to experiment. Here again in my teaching, I find sometimes that students feel very uncomfortable just exploring the different sounds in their drum set. Then the next thing we'll do is work on the rudiments, the fundamental techniques of playing. I would call that the ABCs of drumming. We'll actually talk about how to hold the sticks, and then we'll get into some basic rudimental patterns that you should work on even from the beginning to just get comfortable balancing out between your right and left hands, and we'll also work on your feet a little bit as well. Even as you get older and play a long time, you should still use rudimental exercises to warm up and to maintain that ability to be ambidextrous. And then last, we'll actually get into the playing part, which you probably would like better. We're going to play grooves and fills, and we're going to work in 4 primary areas: 8th note playing, 16th note playing, triplet grooves, and then we'll work on shuffles and swing or hip-hop type grooves as well. And I realize here again that there's a large variety of different rhythms even within the context of those 4, but it really does come down to pretty much 4 major areas of playing in most of the types of music that you'll have to play in our Western type music. So I hope you have fun today. Feel free to take time to stop over each section and try it out on your drums as you're learning. I also believe that music is an incredible gift from God, and that you should enjoy it, and that it does come with a responsibility, especially if you feel a calling to play and you find joy in playing. That is really from the Lord. So we're going to pray just to bless this time so that we can all learn together, because even though at this moment I'm the teacher, I'm still a student as well. Lord, we just thank you for this incredible gift of music and the talent that you've given us to learn and to play. We ask you for your help today to grow in this thing that you've given us, this great musical gift. And Father, help us to retain, help us to learn, even as I teach, Lord, help me to learn new things. And Lord, help us to remember what we're learning, and help us to be brave and to grow and to be faithful to these talents that you've given us. Lord God, we ask these things in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, let's get started. Let's make the drum set fit you, okay? We have a 5-piece kit here, and when we use the term pieces, they're always talking about how many drums. So we have a kick drum that's down here on the floor, called the bass drum, or kick drum. Then we have a snare drum, and then 3 toms, 2 rack toms or 2 mounted toms, and a floor tom here to my right. Also a pair of hi-hats to my left, a ride cymbal over here to my right, and then 2 crash cymbals, both left and right. And you can start with less, but this is a pretty standard beginner setup, but you could play forever on this type of kit. There's really no need to add more things except for the sake of your own musical expression. Now actually the first thing is the drum stool, the throne that you're going to sit on to play. And the best thing I can recommend for this is please buy a good one, because less expensive ones or even a chair is too awkward and they can be wobbly. And it's very important for the sake of your posture and comfort to buy a stool that's going to be solid. So find one where the cushion is pretty firm. I definitely recommend that when you sit down on the stool, put your behind smack dab in the middle of it, okay? Don't set too far forward because it makes you feel like you're kind of falling into the drum set. And if you set too far back, you'll actually get to where you're cutting the circulation off in your leg. And that can cause your legs to cramp, and you just don't feel like you have very much strength into the pedals, okay? So, another thing you want to do is watch how high or low you set. As a rule of thumb, I like to set to where my hip is a little bit higher than my knee. That way I feel like I've got good leverage or good action into both pedals. If you set too low and your knees are coming up higher, it actually creates more of an angle here in your leg, in the back of your knee. That can cramp up. And also you have that sensation of leaning back, and that is not a very centered way to play. So set it about this angle, hip a little higher than your knee. That's a good rule of thumb. You're right in the middle of the stool. Then the 3 elements we're going to start with or add to that is your kick drum, snare drum, and your hi-hat. And this is really the basics of all of the patterns that you'll play. The groove happens right here in these 3 elements. And in actuality, the snare drum is the center of your universe, okay? Often we think that the bass drum is the middle because we see all of these drums fitting around the bass drum. But really, the snare drum is the middle. That's where you're going to play, right here. And the snare drum kind of fits between my knees. You notice that as I come down and play into the drum without reaching for it or pulling back, that the stick hits right in the middle of the snare. Okay? My arms don't have to move in any uncomfortable position to reach that. Okay, so the snare drum is there. The pedals for the bass drum and the hi-hat symmetrically come off right and left. Okay? Neither one is ahead of the other. So really it's a sense of that I'm not having one leg back or forward, especially on the hi-hat. This is something I notice. People will position it too far away or especially too far back to where you feel like you're pulling your arm in. And the hi-hat is straight off of my left side a little bit. And here again, I can comfortably reach the tip of the sticks to the playing position of the hi-hat, which is halfway between the edge and the bell, right? Right, left, like that, very comfortably. Same way it was positioned for the snare drum. So you see, I'm making this little shift from the hi-hat to the snare without any inconvenient motion. That's very important. The bass drum is positioned in a way that my foot can easily slide into it. Notice that the angle here again of the leg is a little more open than a 90-degree angle for both legs, for the hi-hat and the bass drum. And here again, the more you play, you'll find out the most comfortable way to make that work. I just caution you not to set too close to the drum set or too far away. Just find that place where you feel really centered in this position. Okay, then we're going to add the toms in. Start with the first drum. In a normal 5-piece kit, you would have a 12-inch tom, a 13-inch tom, although today I'm using a 14-inch drum here, and a 16-inch floor tom. Okay, and that I start from this first 12-inch drum in a position where I just reach straight up off of the snare drum. It's not too far away to right or left. It almost becomes here again like the centerpiece of the tom-tom setup. Then the particular thing about the second tom is that here again we don't set it symmetrically square to the bass drum. We're actually going for this position where it's in a little bit so that the curve of motion here again is pulling more so that my left hand is going to reach it easily. If it was actually out here a little farther, you would find that your left shoulder would have to reach too far, and we're trying to avoid those uncomfortable movements. And then the floor tom down here is here again in a comfortable place, almost in a straight line across from hat to snare to floor. You notice my upper body is not straining in any particular direction to reach those elements. Okay? Let's add the cymbals in. The ride cymbal should really be in a place where your arm never reaches. Here again, we're going for that comfort zone, okay? So when you throw your right hand on this direction, without extending your elbow, it's just resting at your side, the stick should land halfway between the bell and the edge. That's the usually best sounding place in a ride cymbal. And without any effort or even looking at the cymbal, my hand should stay there when I'm at this position. Right? Okay, so that's what I look for. If you have to reach up and play the bell, it's not that far of a reach. So here again, I'm always looking for that comfort zone. And if I'm adding 10 cymbals and 20 drums, I'm still looking for a comfort zone to play in. So that's the ride cymbal. I recommend having 2 crashes to start with, crash cymbals. I use a 16-inch on my left and a 17-inch on my right. But here again, that's a personal situation for me. You can do whatever you like. But the position of the cymbals where when I reach up off of the toms after a fill, I seem to catch it right with the shoulder of the stick. The shoulder of the stick is right in here. The tip is this part of the stick. Shoulder is in here. We call this the main body, and we actually call this the butt of the stick. Okay? So I'm trying to hit that cymbal, slicing it with the shoulder of the stick. And I'm looking for a position where it feels very natural just to throw my hand up there to crash. So watch it, what happens after I do this fill and reach up there. 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Same thing for the left side. You can reach both with right hands, or when you do a left-handed crash, it's the same way. So you see, it's this symmetrical look. And from that, you can add other cymbals as well. So that's the setup. We're finding that comfort zone to play in. As far as the heights and the angles, I recommend not making your cymbals too flat. In other words, don't let them mount perfectly horizontal. They should have a slight angle, almost as if they're pointing in towards your chest. That's a good place to start as you're learning. And the height, you can actually have them a little lower than this. I like to have them higher so that the drum mics aren't picking up as much cymbal sound. But here again, this will be affected by the length of your arms and the way you're built. Many drummers sit down at my drum set and complain that everything feels too far away, but I have relatively long hands and fingers and feet, so it seems like I sit higher and have this spread out setup when other drummers set up my kit. But for you, the most important thing is that comfort zone, that ability to get around the set. Okay, let's tune the drums. Let's go for that great sound, whatever that might be. A lot of people have varying opinions about what is a good drum sound. But from the work I've done, especially in recording situations, we're going to approach tuning the kit in that way. In general, I'll use Remo drum heads, but there are several other companies that are very fine. But what you want to look for is the thickness of the head that they'll use. And they usually come in either a thin ply, a medium ply, or even double ply, like a heavy duty, okay? And different companies will call these different things, but that's what we're going to look for. Plus, different coverings that they use affect the sound of the head, whether it's a clear plastic or if they coat the head with a sandy finish, like we'll see on the snare drum here when we get to that, okay? And those different types of heads can be used on any of the drums. Here again, over time, you'll experiment, probably spend a lot of money, and you'll learn what sounds will happen with your drum set, okay? So let's start here with the bass drum. On a bass drum, I like to use a double ply head. In the Remo company, that would be called an Emperor. Right now, I'm actually using an Evans head EQ2, but it's the same principle. It's a double ply head. I like that thickness on a bass drum because I can tune it very low and get a lot of weight out of it. And you can see it's tuned rather loosely. I'm pushing on the head pretty freely. It moves in like an inch or so even. And when I get the head, I just make sure that it's centered. I'm going to loosen a few keys so you can see. I just put the head on, make sure that it feels evenly spaced around the shell of the drum. Get the keys started, just at a starting point where I can see they're catching all the way around. And then I literally just tune one key at a time, just a twist of my wrist, and that's it. That's all you go for. And then you can go across the drum and tune all the keys the same way. Sort of as a rule here also, what I'm going to do is tune just to the place where the head doesn't look wrinkled anymore. Or when you hit it, it shouldn't sound like a paper bag. You could actually tune the head so low that you can hear it flap. So we want to avoid that sound, although I've worked with producers that love that sound. So here again, drums are kind of fun in the respect that many sounds are acceptable. But for me, this works the best. And actually, the front head's going to be tuned the same way. Let's take a look at that. Very loose tuning. It gives the same amount. I approached it the same way. It doesn't sound papery. I'll hit it with a stick here so you can hear that. Just kind of low and thumpy. And I cut a hole in the side just to allow the drum to breathe a little bit. If you close it off, the drum will actually have a lot more resonance, but then it's a little harder to mic it unless you use an internal mic, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put it back to where the mic can hear it, and so you can hear it. And there we go. Now, so both heads are tuned rather loosely, just above a wrinkle, right? Okay? And I've put a little bit of padding in the drum, maybe 3 to 4 inches, touching both heads. And the key word here is soft, okay? Don't put hard foam rubber or anything that's really stiff inside the drum. We want to allow the drum to breathe a little bit. Believe it or not, we're moving air, and we're resonating the shell of the drum. So we want to allow that to move freely, okay? So here we go. We're going to listen to this sound that's padded a little bit and very loose heads on there. So listen. Nice. I like that, okay? Your foot action, what you see here, if you're just starting, it's probably best to start with your heels down, okay? So I'd start where you're using your ankle more than your leg. Very important. Now you'll see drummers play, and even myself, where I'm lifting my leg and the foot is floating on the pedal. Okay, and that's okay, but at first it's important to develop this really strong ankle. Make sure that your ankle is getting some strength. And if you just start by standing on the pedal when you're learning, you might try to get too much action from your hip. So start with your heel down, begin to practice that way, and you'll develop a stronger ankle. Okay? But that's a good bass drum sound. That's what I like. And here again, it'll be affected by the room you're playing in, the microphone you're using, the type of heads. And just start with this procedure of a very low tuning, very little padding, and then adjust from there. Okay, let's go on to the snare drum. Okay, we're going to move to the top end voice of your drum kit, okay? Besides the cymbals, of course. The snare drum's probably going to be your brightest sound or your most noticed sound. But in general, it's totally opposite of your kick. Okay, we're going to go very tight. And here again, like all the other drums, snare drums are so varied in their makes and their models and sizes and so on. it's just best to find a good general purpose drum that's going to work in most situations. And for myself and many other drummers, I have found that a 14-inch in diameter, 6.5-inch depth, or some of them come 5 inches deep, work really well. And this is a general size snare drum for almost all the playing that I would do. This is a brass shelled drum. Brass tends to be very heavy, so it has some warmth to it, but because it's metal, it also has some bright tones. So for me, it's kind of the best of both worlds, and it's worked well in many situations. But I also like wood drums and steel drums, and here again, the more you play and the more money you spend, you're going to find out all of the options that are available to you. But tuning-wise, for me, and for most drummers, we go for a pretty tight tension. By the time you get each lug tuned up evenly, the head should give very little, okay? So you can see I'm pushing on it, but it's not going down very far. And as far as the number of turns that would be on each key, you know, that can change from drum to drum. So it's a situation where you can't think of turning, you know, 3 turns or 5 turns. You have to get used to hearing the drum come up, okay? In general, for me, I like to find pitches where I think the drum is working well. But a note here would be, don't get hung up on like tuning a drum to every note and always staying there. With a snare drum especially, I will change the timbre of the drum according to the situation I'm in. But for a starting point, I'll usually tune it up to a G note. And you think, well, how do you hear notes in the drums? So we're going to sing a little bit and try to find that fundamental tone. Even though we hear some resonance happening in the drum, there's a fundamental pitch happening there. Bum, da, da, ba. And that pitch for me works really well for snare drums, and that happens to be a G. One of the things I've done over the years is when I found a drum sounding really good, I like the way it's responding, I like the tone that it projects, I will actually do that tone check where I hit the drum, find the pitch, and I'll go to the piano or some other instrument or have other musicians help and say, what is this note? Da, da, okay? And then I stay at that pitch. I'll even write on the drum head G or A or B flat or whatever the note is, okay? And quite often in recording situations, I will tune the drum set to the general key of the song, okay? Now I realize for live settings there's probably not time to do that, so this G note works really well for most snare drums. But you can see it's a tight enough tension to where I get good bounce off of the stick, and when I pinch a little bit, there's still enough to get a good buzz when I turn the snares on. Okay? So that's the fundamental pitch. As far as the choice of drum heads, you can see here I have this coated finish. You can hear the white coating on there. It's a medium weight head. And for Remo, they're usually called an ambassador, but because it has this little black dot underneath, it's called a CS batter. Okay, and the black dot helps to reinforce the middle of the drum when you're playing really hard into the drum. Okay, and it tends to give it a little more weight, a little darker sound, but it doesn't remove the nice bright tone of the drum, and I like to keep that sound. But here again, it's your own personal opinion of what you want to try, and I encourage you to experiment. But this has worked very well for most situations. So kind of a general rule for most of the drums we're going to be working with is use medium weight heads to double ply heads on the tops. And on the bottoms, you can use medium to thin, because the bottom heads are what's creating more of the resonance, the more sensitivity in the drum, especially in tom-toms. I usually don't use thin heads on top because I break them too easily. So, plus they stretch out a lot. So let's start with this type of head and talk about some muffling. And you notice I'm using a little bit of tissue and tape down here, okay, just at where I'm sitting. If you want to remove more of the overtones, you can add little circles of tape like this that are rolled backwards. It's just duct tape that I've rolled so the sticky side sticks out. And I can actually do a little finger check and see where seems to take that pitch out. So just a little touch at this, what I call the hot spot of the drum, will tell you where to place that extra roll of tape if you want to remove that sound. Okay? Now, let's work with adjusting the snares. Okay? Also, I want to mention the bottom head has been tuned very much like the top. Same tight tension on both of them. Okay? The snare tension is at a place where if I loosen it too much, the snares rattle too much. Okay, that's way too much. And we're going to tighten it just a little bit so it's out of that range. Ah, nice. One crisp hit. But we haven't tightened it so much where the drum actually chokes. And it will. It'll actually get so choked with the strainer underneath that you can't hear the drum respond very well. Okay? So, go for that sound that where you're playing in the middle of the drum, it's still resonating nice, you hear nice snare smack, right? And if you want to do a buzz roll, the snares are responding to that buzz, like this. Okay? Or if you want it to be a double stroke roll or an open roll, the snares are still tight enough to give you good definition, like this. All right, so that's the general purpose snare drum. I also would use a piccolo drum for different things, but don't let this become your standard drum. It's more for particular songs that you might want to use it. That's because it's so loud and so bright sounding. Okay, this drum I've actually tuned up a little bit tighter because that's a different color I'm going for. So the variety is wide. Nice general purpose kind of medium range tuning here. And a nice bright sound here on the piccolo. All right, let's go on to the tom-toms. Okay, so let's tune our toms. Here again, on the tops of the drums, I'm using clear emperors or double ply heads, okay? And on the bottoms of the drum, I'm using clear ambassadors or a medium weight. And the clear heads seem to give a little more brightness of tone. If you use the coated head on the toms, it'll sound a little drier, but you'll actually get a little more stick sound because of the plastic coating. So, you can choose how you want your drums to sound. For me, I like that low end tone that the double ply heads give you. The resonance will come off the bottom, and really resonance is happening all with the drum set, okay? With the toms, I'm kind of in the middle of the range of tuning. We're kind of a medium tension. You can see here that the drum head, not wrinkling at all, not loose like your bass drum, but it gives maybe a ½ inch or so, an eighth or a quarter to a ½ inch. Okay, so you can push it in that much. The general procedure, just like with all the drums, is make sure that the rim and the head are all centered, that they're evenly placed around the shell of the drum. And as you tune it up, you want to hear a very even tone, okay? What I'm doing here is touching the center of the head. It sort of muffles it or creates an overtone so I can hear a defined note at every lug when I tap there, and I'm trying to get to the same pitch on each lug. Okay, and this drum's already been pre-tuned. It's pretty close. Here again, don't be so carried away with this that if you hear a little variation that you don't think the drum's going to work. You have to let the drum do what it's going to do. You have to play it a while to see how it's going to respond. But this is a medium tension tuning. And here again, we can't tell you how many turns of a key will make that work. You just have to tune it up, listen for a tone, and then go for the same thing on the top of the head. Same type of tension, same type of give. Now, this sounds lower because it's a double ply head. Okay, so it has a lower tone. And this is a 14-inch tom. It's pretty big, and we're going to go up to the higher ones. But that's the tone you have with the 14-inch tom. Okay, this is a 10 and a 12-inch tom. And normally on most drum sets, this 12-inch drum is very standard size as your first tom. A 10-inch is usually an addition. It's a smaller drum, but I like the higher pitches. And one thing I recommend if you're having problems controlling your volume in some buildings, if you go to smaller drums, they actually project less volume. Okay, although you can play small drums loud, they have the sense of being less loud because you're not moving as much air. And anyway, good tuning will also tend to make people like your drum sound better. Okay, so let's start with the 12-inch drum because this is usually the first drum we'll find on most drum sets. We've gone for that medium tension, and I'm just going to purposely detune this head so you can see what happens. We're going to tune it way down so it sounds like a paper bag, right? That bad papery sound. So that doesn't work too well. We're going to come up, and you see I've gone like one full turn with all the keys. That's usually where I'll start. Now that's ringing quite a bit. Listen to the tone there. Okay? Not bad, a good tone. Here again, is once you've tuned the drums a lot and you've played them a while, you'll find a place where the drum seems to resonate very well. Here again, when you find that sweet spot, that pitch or the tone in the drum that you like, you can run to the piano, ask for some help from other people, say, what is this note? Bum, bum, right? Okay, so we're trying to get close to an A. Now, for me, this drum on my drum set normally tunes well to an A440. So I'm going to go for that, and I'm using a little machine here that just gives me an A tuning pitch. Okay, here we go. I'm a little higher than that, so I'm going to drop. And you can hear that note. Da. It's a little flat, okay? And you have to do some adjusting. Okay. I made it a little brighter because it was kind of vibrating too much at the lower pitch. But the drum's resonating really well. Very nice resonance. The bottom head will change the tone too, and it's a matter of experimenting. And we could spend very much time in the tuning realm here, and I'm not going to do that today. There are several videos that get into all the detailing of how drums are built, all the different heads step by step. And if you want to learn more, I recommend finding those videos and experimenting with that. But it still has to come from you being free and comfortable kind of exploring the instrument, okay? And once you find the pitch that works good for your drum, I like to tune the toms in intervals of a fourth. I try not to make the pitches too close. In other words, from that drum to that drum, we want to have an interval of at least of a fourth. Okay, so if we're singing that note down there, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, or do, re, mi, fa. There's the pitch. That's a fourth, and that interval works very well around a whole set of toms, especially if they're even sizes, such as 10, 12, 14-inch, and 16-inch floor toms. Unfortunately, most standard 5-piece kits come with a 13-inch tom, which can be a little tricky to tune that low. You might have to tune it to a third interval. In other words, well, this would be the high drum, so the next drum down would be 3 notes down. So we would go A, down to G, down to F, or F sharp. And you could match that up on the piano as well. But if you approach the toms with this medium tension, trying to get that lower resonance tone, you'll probably find those pitches, okay? So I recommend that. 10, 12, 14, 16 should be a D note, an A, okay? The 14-inch drum will actually be an E, okay? And then the 16 would be a low B, okay? And sometimes that's very hard to hear. If you find that frustrating, a good place to start might be with the floor tom. Tune it as low as it'll go before it sounds like paper, right? Then just start to tune it up slightly. And then you'll hear the tone of the drum, this low resonant tone. And then try to hear that very low pitch if you can. And then bring up the other toms in higher intervals from that drum. That can be a very good way to start. But here again, what I want you to be encouraged to do is experiment and to explore your instrument. Drums are a big challenge, especially when you're trying to get a sound that you like when you're playing. Okay? So let's do that. Let's go play the drums. Okay, so we're all set up comfortably. You've got your drums sounding great. Now you have to play them, okay? It's important to start with the ABCs of drumming, the rudiments. And often students that I teach would complain about working on very simple patterns or working on the 26 US rudiments. They're now what we call the 40 international rudiments, and then they're always adding more on. But the idea of any of that basic study is just to develop a sense of balance and control with both sides of your body, okay? So it's very important to have that time every day when you practice to have a routine. And something that's really worked well for me in teaching, also with my students, and at any age, is to work in 4 areas. And if you're practicing 30 to 40 minutes a day as a start, that's a good place. If you could get to where you're working an hour a day on your instrument, you're going to find your progress is going to be much better. And also, I can't say enough about finding a teacher in your area. It's important to study with other people. Even though I've been playing the instrument for over 20 years, I still go to drum clinics, I buy books, I get videos, I go to other teachers, and I see what other people are doing, and I keep trying to learn to push on to the next level. So whether you're just getting started or if you've been playing a long time, keep pursuing your talent, okay? So those 4 areas you should be working in are the rudimental studies, then also work on reading. That's scary, isn't it? Drum reading. Well, you should learn how to read a little bit. Here again, find a teacher that can help you in that. If you've just begun, start with snare drum books, the very basics. Because the more you learn about the instrument, learning the music is going to just help you be better at serving other people, to be able to perform comfortably. So that's the second area, reading. And then the third is the fun part, playing songs or playing grooves, and that we're going to get into that. And then the fourth would be soloing or improvisational things. Now, if you've just started playing, I would say the first 3 areas are your primary concern. Rudiments, reading, and playing music, songs. But if you've been playing a while, go ahead and start working on the soloing part, doing improvisational work. That'll really help you. So break your practice time down into those areas, and you'll find it a little more interesting, and you'll find that you're going to cover a lot of areas that you need to know to be able to play a lot of different things. So let's start with the basics of playing, just your grip, how to hold the sticks. I use primarily matched grip, and we call it matched because it matches, right? Both hands are doing the exact same thing. Traditional grip will be a little different, and I'll talk about that a little, but the basics of any grip is finding a good pinch point, or the fulcrum, what we call a fulcrum there. That's where I'm pinching between the thumb, the meat of the thumb, and the crook of the first finger, okay? So right in there, that grip there is very important. Don't allow the thumb to get ahead or the finger to get ahead, so it's like on top of the stick. Make sure it looks like that, as if it's a little axle point for the stick to move, okay? Then the other 3 fingers just gently, and that's the important word, gently wrap around the stick. Don't hold it like a baseball bat, or like you're trying to hold on for dear life. Allow it to relax a little bit, okay? So it's very important. Be relaxed, but maintain that grip. A pinch point and fingers touching the stick, okay? That is the main part of that grip. And then the left hand's doing the exact same thing. So when you look down at the drum, and look down at your hands, it should be a symmetric looking thing where you're almost the bottom of a triangle. The sticks are not parallel. In other words, they don't come out of you like this, right? This parallel shot, okay? Like that. It's really more this angle, all right? So the sticks are pointing in because your body is sitting here like this, right? You're the bottom of the triangle, and the left stick is the other part of the triangle, and the right is the other. Okay, that's simple. So don't think in here. This would be more of a French style grip, classical grip. A lot of jazz players would get into that, which is okay. For me, it tends to make me play lighter, which is a good thing if you need to play lighter. But when you're first learning, and for my students, I have them start here with the what we call the German matched grip in classical studies. And it works well for rock and roll too. When you just see players that have played by learning on their own, they often just play with this grip because it feels the most natural and most comfortable. So pinch point and finger control and wrist action are the key elements here. You'll see that when I'm playing, I'm never playing from my elbow, right? The arms just move you around the drum set. But the action of the stick really comes from the snap of your wrist and your fingers. Sort of like bouncing a basketball. It has this feeling of responding really smoothly. It's not stiff, I'm not holding the stick down, and I'm not letting the action come from my arm at all. Even if you see me use the arm, the end of the stroke will still be this snapping motion. Okay? So to create more volume, I may do that. But the place where I'm starting when I'm practicing and when I'm teaching students is to get them to just stay in this relaxed position of fingers and wrist action and no arms. And traditional grip would only be different in the fact that we put the stick back here in the crook of your thumb, okay? And the pinch point for that is there, okay? In the thumb of your hand, and the third and fourth finger are underneath, okay? And then the first finger is on top, and the thumb locks in right here, okay? At the middle knuckle of that first finger, which is kind of unusual. But that's really the action of the stick with traditional grip. But the principle is still the same, okay? It's a fulcrum or a pinch point and finger control with wrist action, never your arm, okay? So this traditional grip really came from the marching drummers where the drum was on the side. Rather than play with an arm up in the air like this, they would just bring the stick over this way so that the drum could be easily reached. So matched grip is probably going to be the most useful for contemporary playing. So let's start with that. When you're doing some rudimental studies, let's use the basic ones. A single stroke roll, a double stroke roll, and a paradiddle. And then we'll do some variations of that. Single stroke roll, very simply, is single notes for each hand playing right, left, right, left, right, left, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That seems very simple. The key element here is precision, not speed. Okay? You say, well, that feels very easy. Well, then you would speed up a little bit. Your goal is always to play smoothly and relaxed. As you gain speed, if you start to feel tension in your arms or your wrist, or you start to feel this action start to happen, you start to stiffen up a little bit, you know, and it all tightens in your chest and your arms feel stiff. Slow down a little bit. Allow that to breathe, okay? So that you'll find your limit as you practice these things. And you have to practice with a metronome. You have to work with that every day. I recommend, besides having a good teacher and learning from the books and learning the rudiments, that you work with a metronome. And a metronome is just a device that'll keep time for you. You can use a little quartz one, or now I'm just going to play along with the drum machine, which is playing the click for me. And I'm going to put some headphones in so I can hear it. And if I was working with my rudiments, let's just start at that tempo, very slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? A new tempo. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay? Now I'm playing these rather short. As you practice, I would stay at one tempo for at least a minute or two so that you get used to just holding a consistent time for a long period of time, okay? And then you can try to find your peak, whatever that may be. But here again, relax, stay in control. And you know, you could have the click be just the quarter note. In other words, one beat for every count, while you play eighth notes, which would be playing the ands. So if this is the quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the eighth note would be double time of that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and da da dee da 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 da. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, ready, play. Okay? When you feel in control, go on to a new tempo. So you can work with the single stroke roll for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however much time you want to apply to that. And then work on double strokes the same way. Double stroke is 2 for each hand. Right, right, left, left. Right, right, left, left. Right, right, left. Okay? Same procedure. All these rudiments will work on it and build up speed as we go. The next rudiment would be a paradiddle. Okay? And it's a pair and a diddle. In other words, a pair of notes and a double. Okay? So it's right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Okay? Let's hear some of these rudiments on the drum set. Okay, let's hear the rudiments on the set. This is why we do that, and this will help you see where you're going to go with this, okay? So we're going to do some of these rudiments around the kit. A single stroke roll, right, left, if we speed it up, okay? So, if you're working on a single stroke roll, that left hand won't feel so weak, or you're right-handed, you know, depending on if you're left or right-handed. So, we're going to build up the weak hand that way. Same thing with double stroke rolls. Here's the double on the hi-hat off of the single, okay? Ready? Go. Okay, so a nice clean double stroke roll. And believe me, these all start from those basic rudimental practice situations. Okay, same thing for the paradiddle. Ready? Go. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left. We can split it up around the drum set to where you're actually playing a funkier pattern. Okay? So rudiments really are a musical thing. It's learning a language. So work on those basic 3, and then any variations of that pattern you can write out, such as playing a paradiddle backwards. You know, start with the double first. Right, right, left, left, right, left. And any pattern of those you wish. There's a lot of books that get into multiple sticking patterns. And here again, if you study with the teacher, they can get you into that type of work. It's very important. So besides working on the rudiments in that form, I'm counting all in even patterns, you should also work on rudiments within a triplet format. Most all music will be subdivided either in an even number of 2s or 3s. And the same way when we get into studying the grooves, we'll play 8th and 16th note grooves, and we'll also go and play some triplet and shuffle grooves, which are all based on 3s. So we were just playing the single stroke roll, counting, you know, if we were subdividing that evenly in 2s, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, right? Okay, and if we're doing it with triplets, we subdivide everything in 3, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, triplet, 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 triplet. Okay? That's subdividing in 3s. So when you work on your rudiment list, play a single stroke roll thinking in 3, rather than just playing right, left, thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Stop, and with your metronome, think of it in terms of counting triplet, 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 triplet. So let's slow this down a little faster. 1, 2, triplet, go. Triplet, 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 triplet. Stop. Let's gain a little speed on it. So this is the triplet again. In your head, you have to count. It's like we have to internalize this click and get the subdivision going. The click is your internal clock, right? Click, click, click. That's the pulse of the music, the quarter note. Da, 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 da. If we're subdividing in twos, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we're subdividing in threes, 1, 2, triplet, triplet, da 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 da. We have to think that first before we can even play it. So if you're just learning this, or even if you've played a while, it's very helpful to count what you have to play. 1. So I internalize that sound first. Triplet, 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 triplet. 1, 2, ready, go. Triplet, 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 triplet. Stop. You can also play that in any type of pattern you want to come up with. Do it in singles like that. Also do it where you do threes in each hand. Triplet, 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 triplet. Okay, so you build up a triplet stroke roll. Also in patterns where it's right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, triplet, 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 triplet. Or right, left, left, 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 right. Okay? Or a very popular way to play a triplet or shuffle pattern would be playing right, left, right, right, left, right, 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 right. So you're emphasizing this right, right action in your hand. Right, left, right, right, left, right. Triplet, 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 triplet. Okay? All right, the key thing here is to start slow. I think the most frustrating thing, even with myself, when I'm learning something new, I just want it to happen right away. Okay? We have to be patient. Take the time to slow it down. You may feel, maybe a little, timid or frustrated, or maybe you just don't have the knack to do it. But you'd be amazed at what you learn if you slow it down enough and dissect it. So start with these rudimental patterns, work on them. Gain speed in it every day, work with the metronome, and also work on them dynamically. Play them soft, play them loud, mix them up, and you'll be amazed at what that'll do to your hand control, okay? So work on that every day, and then let's go ahead and play some grooves now, see what that sounds like. Yeah, let's play a little bit. Let's talk about getting these grooves to happen, okay? And the 4 grooves we talked about were eighths, sixteenths, triplets, and shuffles, okay? Eighth note grooves, probably being the most popular thing you hear, are based on an eighth note ride pattern or hi-hat, and we count it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Bass drum or kick drum in music plays the downbeats, okay, which is 1 and 3 when we're counting. Goes like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and, okay? Snare drum is what we call the backbeat, okay? That's the snap beat or the backbeat, whatever term you hear. And it's on 2 and 4, okay? So it sounds like this. Ready? Go. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, Sounds simple? Maybe not. When you're just starting and something like this feels frustrating, or any pattern you're learning, dissect it. Do it in pieces. You can just start with your right hand, adding the bass drum first, and then do hi-hat and snare drum. So just do it in 2 pieces each. Then maybe just do kick drum and snare drum so you can get used to that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? As that gets more comfortable, start with that and start doing some basic patterns. I'm going to tune this drum a little different. Okay? It was making a little bit of overtone. I don't know if you heard that. So we're going to work. Sounds good now? I start with these patterns and then build, okay? And the main thing is to start simply and choose an element to add variations to. So let's just work on the bass drum a little bit. The top stuff's going to do the same thing. Eighths on the hat, 2 and 4 on the snare. Every 4 measures, or 4 bars, I'm going to do a little bit of change up on the kick drum. It'll work like this. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and. All right? And you can go on with that for a long time. Just keep adding different parts of the 8th note just to that element. When something feels a little uncomfortable, keep working on that till you get it. Or slow it down, right? That's the other rule. Slow down till it fits. Okay, so we would do that. You can do the same thing with every element. Snare drum. We could start with the basic 2 and 4, and then you can just add other pieces or play any part of the 8th note you want. Line it up with the left hand, like this. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, ready, next. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 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 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. So you see, you can pick any of those notes that you're counting and add it in there, okay? Do the same thing with opening and closing the hi-hat. Any piece. Here we are just working on the groove in those areas. Also work on different tempos, different dynamics. As you get more comfortable, add fills, okay? Let's go on to 16th note grooves. Okay, let's play some 16th note grooves. The same pulse, all right? The quarter note is always our pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And rather than dividing in 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're going to divide into 16ths, which is just twice as fast as that, but same pulse. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and it's going to land on the hi-hat with your right hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Whatever speed you have to start at, that's your choice, okay? It can be slow, fast. The main thing is that you're comfortable and that you're counting it. So let's do some same things here with variations on the kick, and then we'll do a little bit of variation on the snare drum and maybe some stuff on the hi-hat as well. Here we go. Kick drum first. 3 and 4 and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Okay? So you can play variations as much as you like. The main thing is to control it. And start simple. You know, whatever note you want to pick while you're counting, make sure that that's lining up. So let's work on the snare drum. Here again, we'll keep the bass drum very simple, the right hand still playing 16th notes. Work on some counting variations with your snare drum hand. Here we go. 3 and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. Okay, I'll go to the hi-hat. Ready? Go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. Okay, the next area of playing is triplet grooves. Now we've worked on all the twos, or duple time feels, which are eighths and sixteenths. Now we're going to work in threes, triplets, shuffles, swing, hip hop, all of that. Okay, the triplet feel, here again we're going to build the same type of pattern, downbeats and backbeats, right? Downbeats are on the kick, backbeats are on the snare, all right? We're going to count triplets on the ride hand, or the hi-hat or ride cymbal. Triplet, 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 triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, same principle. We're just working on basic grooves and variations. As you get comfortable with those, speed them up, slow them down, always change dynamics and start adding fills. Okay, little variations in the triplet on the snare drum. Here again, you could pick other notes of the triplet, like this. Ready? Go. Triplet, 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 triplet. The main thing you want to watch for when you're playing these grooves is this problem of flamming. Things not lining up to the hi-hat, unless you're intending to play a flam. Which is a different thing. But when we groove, a lot of times it flams a little bit. In other words, the notes don't line up. When that happens, stop, slow down a little bit, find out what the problem is. It could be one element. Maybe leave your foot rest, work on all your hand patterns. Triplet, triplet, 4, 1 lolly, 2 lolly. A lot of times we count triplets with the lolly. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Make sure that it lines up perfectly underneath the right hand. That's the most important thing. Triplet, 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 triplet. Triplet, 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 triplet. So you see, I'm dissecting that rhythm. I'm taking every part of that count and trying to get the snare drum or the bass drum or any other element to line up underneath of it, okay? Last but not least, would be the shuffle feel. And this is probably one of the hardest things for drummers to get used to because we can confuse it with a straight time thing. And I hear that on occasion where drummers are trying to shuffle, but it's not really feeling the triplet. That's the thing you want to think. Feel the triplet. And the only difference with the shuffle and the straight triplet groove would be the fact that you're leaving out the middle note, like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Triple, let triple, let triple, let triple, let triple, let triple, let triple. Let triple, let triple, let triple, let. Unlike 16th notes, which are straight, right? 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and we let it shuffle along. It's really associated with dance patterns, okay? Has a certain swing feel. That jazz sound that you hear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's based on triplets. And the shuffle feel we play is really built on that. Also hip-hop grooves, things that you hear in hip-hop music are swing music, contemporary stuff, that would sound like this. Those feels are all built on triplets. And when you start with the shuffle, you might feel that's very uncomfortable because you feel that gap in the triplet. But start it slow, right? Start very slow. Triple, let triple, let triple, let triple, let triple, let triple, let triple, let. And as you get more comfortable, you'll start to notice that your arm feels the quarter note all the time. It should. That's what you want to aim for. And that the 3 are the last part of the triplet is almost the upstroke of that. Watch very carefully. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. If you get that action comfortable, you'll be able to play a shuffle, and especially with the counting. And that can apply to other rhythms as well, that pumping motion in the arm. You'll see that in a lot of drummers, this action of the arm moving into the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. That moves into the downbeats or the quarter notes, and then the other notes happen on the way up. So let's work on the shuffle just a little bit. I'll speed up some as we go. Here we go. 1, 2, triple, let 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 triple. Okay, same procedure, a lot of variations. Start that one really slow and get comfortable with it. And the key thing with all of these grooves is to find music that will relate to those patterns. If you listen to a lot of music, you're going to find these patterns in contemporary music. The thing with all of these grooves is that you want to become comfortable with them. Listen to music where you can find these different feels in them, okay? And even in contemporary worship, I've been asked a lot, well, why should I learn a blues feel or that triplet feel or swing, because I would never use that. But there are a lot of songs that we've been using lately in contemporary church songs that are using those feels. That 6/8 triplet feel where we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Okay, I use that feel a lot, all right? And same with the shuffle and triplet feel, or hip-hop feel. Those are all used. So don't neglect any of those areas. Work on all of those, become comfortable with them, learn how to do a lot of variations and fills, and you'll find that you'll be prepared for whatever you have to play. I just want to thank you today for joining me. It's been an honor for me to serve you, and I hope that you find this helpful in your studying of the instrument, just enjoying the talent that the Lord has given you. I want to thank the crew that's helped me today and all the people that have been involved in this. And just remember, be faithful to what God has given you, even in the little things. That's very important. And enjoy what He's given you. Have a good time.